it was surprising to me that we had a very quiet Monday, and we were hearing a lot of inklings about OBJ, coming to us or getting him on a trade. So, making this happen, I was kind of expecting something big, but we kind of got him for a little steal.
This is brand new and fresh to everyone. The news broke less than an hour ago, about 45 minutes ago. I'm sure your phone is blowing up. Have you heard from any teammates yet? What's the wow reaction that you've gotten among the locker room guys?
Well, most I've heard from the D linemen, and they're excited. We want to see them score points so we can get on the field, make big plays, get sacks, strip sacks, and just get the ball back to them and watch them score. So there's going to be an offensive, high-flying, display on the other side of the ball. We can't wait to, get the ball back to them.
Are you guys the team to beat in the AFC North this year?
Absolutely. And I think, the tide is turned, and, we can't wait to get out there and prove it. It looks good on paper, but we got to prove it.
Myles Garrett, good stuff. Thank you so much for calling in on a big day for the Cleveland Browns, for Cleveland sports fans who have waited so patiently to have this feeling of optimism heading into a season. All the pieces appear to be in place. The most recently added OBJ.
Path to the draft.
A lot of fire, a lot of passion. I think he's ready to play right away.
Our experts get you ready for the 2019 draft. Meet the next generation of NFL stars.
A game-changing play.
With in-depth analysis.
He's remarkable.
Positional rankings and team draft breakdowns.
They need a speed receiver.
All leading up to the first pick. Path to the Draft premieres Monday at 6, live on NFL Network.
I pay too much and this phone is terrible.
You should really stop overpaying for wireless.
And upgrade to the brilliant iPhone XR with Sprint.
Yep, both an unlimited plan and iPhone XR for just $35 per month.
Wait, both for that price? Both?
Both.
Both? Her first word.
And you get both on Sprint's network built for unlimited.
Switch and get both, an unlimited plan and iPhone XR lease for just $35 a month. No trade-in required.
10 years ago, Coach James Lurson gave Brian Ortega a choice: continue fighting for his life on the streets of LA, or fight for gold and his community in the octagon. Today, as a top-ranked UFC featherweight, Ortega uses the fighting spirit that he learned from his coach to inspire others like him to fight for something better. Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters what you're made of. Modelo, the official beer of UFC.
Burger King introduces BK Cafe, made with quality 100% Arabica beans that make our fire-roasted, freshly brewed coffee you can enjoy. BK Cafe, served your way. Enjoy brewed iced or frappe, only at Burger King.
They didn't think they'd get this far, or meet them, or him, or realize just how fun a road trip could be. They discovered a new favorite food, a new favorite view, and made some new favorite memories. Book your flights, hotel, and car on Expedia, and travel like a champion. Expedia.
While America celebrated the fall of Prohibition, Jim Beam didn't raise a single glass. He wanted his first drink to be of his own bourbon. He didn't have much money, but he did have a few friends, people who were raised the right way. Over 120 days, they rebuilt the distillery. And while their names might not be on our bottle, it's because of them we can raise this bourbon today. Jim Beam, raised right.
With all that USAA offers, why go with anybody else? We know their rates are good. We know that they're always going to take care of us.
It was an instant savings, and it should have changed a long time ago.
We're the Tennies, and we're USAA members for life.
Call USAA to start saving on insurance today.
It's a great day. We got football, baby. You spoke my language right there.
We've got celebrity guests one after the other. What a way to start the day.
It's incredible.
That's why we're the best.
NFL Network's live breaking news coverage of the trade that has shocked the sports world, certainly the NFL. Odell Beckham Jr. traded from the Giants to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for the Browns' first-round pick this year, a third-round pick this year, and safety Jabril Peppers, a former first-round draft pick of Cleveland. We are wall-to-wall with live coverage right now of this shocking story, including Steve White, who is standing by with a man who can add some insight and perspective on this one.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. I'm here with Mark Ross, a longtime executive with the New York Giants. You were part of the group, the personnel group that drafted Odell Beckham. Shocking news here, Mark. They give him the big extension last year, one of the elite players in the game. Your reaction to the team trading him to the Cleveland Browns at this juncture?
Yeah, you say nothing shocks you in the NFL, but this is shocking. And as we talked about earlier, with the rumors out there and not putting them to rest, there had to be a little bit of fire with the smoke that was going on. But needless to say, I mean, I was just FaceTiming my daughter at the hotel, and Gail was like, get back here quick because, you know, my phone's blowing up. So what happened? And this is what happened. OBJ happened.
From the Giants' perspective, you lose Landon Collins. They trade Olivier Vernon. This is the second deal this week between the Giants and the Browns. They trade Olivier Vernon to Cleveland. Does this signal now a complete teardown of the Giants?
I would think so. And coupled, Dorsey and Gettleman must have had a lot of conversations with both of those guys about what they were going to do. But, you know, for all the years, Eli needs weapons, and he needs that. And now you give away one of the biggest weapons in the NFL. And it's surprising. So obviously they're going to try to rely on Saquon and do that. But just for Odell for a 1 and a 3 and Peppers, basically you're trading Odell Beckham for that. Odell Beckham and Landon Collins for 1, 3, and Peppers.
Right, because Landon Collins, they lose in free agency. They don't get anything back in that. Now let's look at it from Cleveland's perspective. John Dorsey is not playing, Mark. I got a phone call from someone in their front office laughing, saying, we are some crazy mother, shut your mouth.
I can imagine who that was.
It's, when you see a team going for it like this, I mean, in 2 years, they go to Baker Mayfield, they load up, they've got plenty of talent there. What about the aggressiveness that John Dorsey is going for, making a move like this?
Yeah, I think once you get a Baker Mayfield on your team and you saw what he did last year and how good he can become, you're going to say, you know what, this window of opportunity is there. We have the resources, we have the assets to go get people. That's what they've done. I mean, they've drastically improved their team. I mentioned them earlier on our set about how good they were. And now to add Odell, I mean, this just puts them completely over the top and probably the favorites one of the favorites in the AFC by far.
Right, them in New England, correct. Right now,
yeah,
just
so
with
all of this count them.
Right, all this firepower. Okay, now take us kind of behind the scenes in negotiations. As I mentioned earlier this week, Browns and Giants are discussing a trade for Olivier Vernon, which materialized to send him to Cleveland. Is this a situation where maybe John Dorsey said, hey, while we're at this, what might it take for us to get OBJ? Is that how it kind of works out?
Yeah, you know, when you have those kind of discussions at the combine or over the phone, you're always asking and trying to figure out what the next step is, what the next move is. So I'm sure this was kind of a package deal. It just didn't happen all at once, but it was definitely discussed throughout the process. And on the Giants side, it just obviously it's more Odell's personality and his demeanor around the building and on Twitter and all those things, because it definitely wasn't the play. What he's done on the field is unquestioned. So it was more of the off-the-field theatrics, as you could say, that brought this to a head.
Odell has been really tame with that this year. That's interesting you say this, but compensation, a first, a third, and Jabril Peppers. It seems to me, and this is just me thinking and talking to people, that they could have been offered more. It seems like maybe they could have got offered more. Why do you think this was enough for them to make this move right now?
Again, I think maybe they had just gotten to the breaking point. There may be things we don't know about that haven't been out there. They've said they wanted to avoid distractions. There's no one more distracting than Odell, even on his best day. And that's, but you know, in the NFL, there's always distractions with the team. You know, the Patriots went through distractions last year. So I just think they may have gotten to the breaking point and said, we're going to strike while the iron's hot. We can get a safety who we think can cover and a couple picks for this guy, and we're going to move on.
All right, appreciate it, Mark. This looks like two franchises that are blowing up with both definitions of blowing up. Scott, back to you.
Steve White's well said. Much more to come here on NFL Total Access. What does this do to the Cleveland Browns? What does this do to the New York Giants, and specifically to Eli Manning? Some information on the quarterback plans for the Giants when we come back.
NFL Total Access is brought to you by Caesars Palace, official sponsor of the NFL.
We would like to offer you the position. You got the job.
Really?
We'll see you soon.
I gotta get some clothes. Hi, I'm Derek. Oh, is it Casual Friday? I'm sorry, guys. Does anyone know the dial-in? Oh, thanks, sir. I like your pants, too.
It's time. Okay, let's check our constant contact email results. Oh my goddess.
Constant Contact email marketing. Powerful stuff.
Ooh, wait, look at all these KFC white meat $5 fill-ups. This here breast, 100% white meat. Crispy Colonel sandwich, 100% white meat. Tenders, 100% white meat. This whole commercial, 100% white meat. Get a $5 fill-up with 100% white meat at KFC.
I can't believe it.
That we just hit the mother load of soft serve ice cream.
I got cones. Anybody wants one? No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
We struck sprinkles!
Believe it. Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The F-Pace, the SUV with the heart of a Jaguar. For great offers, visit your Jaguar retailer during the Impeccable Timing sales event.
It's something I've dreamed of my whole life.
I love this game. It's always been a part of my family.
I'm ready to show the world what I can do. On the field, I'm the best defensive player in the country.
Being able to do something that you love, something that you can't pass up.
The most important thing is our kids and our community.
Chicago has been hit with a major spike in gun violence.
We kind of tag teamed and said, all right, let's do something.
When I heard the stats about literacy by 4th grade being a big marker for success, I was sold.
It's really about bridging that gap with the law enforcement.
It's about laying a foundation to be able to create change and be able to change lives.
Our kids need to see somebody that look like them, that went through what they went through.
Hey, Sticks, you playing football this year? Let me get back to you. What about you?
Should have drove over anything else?
Sure, try me.
You ain't never heard a voice like this.
I dig it.
Ooh, let me get the mic.
The mic?
That's what I'm trying to say, Rick. Whoa!
Sticks, I knew you would bring it. They're bringing it. How about you? What do you bring?
Big trade news in the NFL. Odell Beckham Jr. to the Cleveland Browns. Giants getting in return a first-rounder this year, the number 17 overall pick, the second of the Browns' third-round picks, and safety Jabril Peppers. So those are the terms. What does this mean for Eli Manning? That is one of the big questions moving forward. Tom Pelissero, what do you think is likely to happen here?
Well, Lindsay, there's no question that the Giants eventually have to find a successor to Eli Manning, who is 38 years old. Dave Gettleman decided not to do that last year, passing on the likes of Sam Darnold. But I'll give you a statistic. There have been 11 quarterbacks taken in the first round total of the past 3 drafts. Only one of them has not been acquired by a trade up, and that happened to be Baker Mayfield with the Browns. Well, now that the Giants have the number 6 and 17 overall picks, that would be enough if you follow the traditional draft value chart to get them just about up to the number 2 pick. If they are in love with, let's say, Duke's Daniel Jones or Ohio State's Dwayne Haskins, and they don't want to risk losing them, they would now have more draft capital to make a really bold move at the most important position.
Good points. Thank you very much, Tom Pelissero. We're sitting next to Sean O'Hara, who obviously knows Eli Manning pretty well. You think that this could actually be good for him? Why?
Well, I think it's a big year for him, and obviously it's a prove-it year. And I think he very well could go out and have a good year and then end up turning it into an extension of some sort. But I think the Giants are in an interesting position right now because they have so many other needs on defense that this could end up becoming a very defensive draft, which would help the overall team, obviously helping Eli. But I know he is ready to play this year, and this is going to make things a little bit different.
As a veteran who's already done what he's done, do you think it makes it harder for him to want to come back and play under these circumstances?
I can agree with you that this is an important year for Eli, but it's going to be a hard year because he just lost his biggest threat.
Well, we are just getting started when it comes to breaking down one of the biggest trades for a skill position player at the height of his powers, Odell Beckham Jr. to the Cleveland Browns. Coming up on the top of the hour right now, I know many of you are asking, what does Odell Beckham Jr. think about this one? Well, our Kimberly Jones just spoke with OBJ himself. You'll hear what he had to say after this.
Relax, it's just a bug.
That's not a bug. That's not a bug.
Hit and drone. Seen it, covered it. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
We're more than just medium one-topping pizzas for $5 each. We're $5 bone-out wings, $5 garlic knots, $5 desserts. We're all this, just $5 each. Call, click, carry out, or delivery. The $5 lineup, because no one out-pizzas the Hut.
So I can buy from Enterprise Car Sales, and you'll take any trade-in.
That's right.
Great. There you go.
Well, it does need to be a vehicle.
But I need this out of my house. With fair, transparent value for every trade-in, Enterprise makes it easy.
This is your invitation to be a guest. This is the invitation to Lexus sales event.
Lease the 2019 RX 350 for $399 a month for 36 months. Now through March 31st.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Bringing my Giovanni Rana pasta to everyone in America wasn't so easy. So I made it easy for America to find me in the refrigerated section. Giovanni Rana pasta. Share what's inside.
Free.
That's right. TurboTax free is free. Free.
This is Golden Corral's hand-cut sirloin, now topped with delicious shrimp scampi. And here's the premium butterfly shrimp and the teriyaki salmon. Get it all, plus the entire buffet for one low price. There's something for everyone at Golden Corral.
I pay too much. This phone is terrible.
You should really stop overpaying for wireless.
And upgrade to the brilliant iPhone XR with Sprint.
Yep, both an unlimited plan and iPhone XR for just $35 per month.
Wait, both for that price? Both?
Both.
Her first word.
And you get both on Sprint's network built for unlimited.
Switch and get both, an unlimited plan and iPhone XR lease for just $35 a month. No trade-in required.
The free agency frenzy continues.
This could be a key addition.
With live breaking coverage of all the latest news and rumors from around the league.
That is breaking news.
Free agency frenzy continues tomorrow at 10, only on NFL Network.
The Alliance is a dream come true, an opportunity to prove to the powers that be that you can play football.
Coming up with a catch, pushing his weight. Does he have the feet down? He does. It's a touchdown.
Tuesday, March 12th, 2019, a day that could go down for two franchises as one of the most monumental in recent years. Hi, everyone. Welcome to NFL Total Access, a special edition as we are ramping up towards the new league year. A trade steals the show. I'm Scott Hanson. That's Lindsey Rhodes. Former New York Giant Sean O'Hara. Former Cleveland Brown Joe Thomas. Those two franchises are the franchises I am talking about, as Odell Beckham Jr. has been traded from the Giants to the Cleveland Browns. The man who broke this story on Tuesday night in prime time is Mike Garafolo. He, alongside NFL media insider Ian Rappaport, join us live. Mike, what do you know about the deal? How'd you find out about it?
I know it all came together because we had former Brown and former Giant Sean O'Hara there. We had former Brown Joe Thomas. We had former Giants executive Mark Ross there. Boy, the stars just aligned on this one. No, it was all about John Dorsey, who at the Combine last month basically said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, that it wasn't yet time for this team to go for it. Well, he was playing coy because this team is going for it. The Giants and the Browns, let's not forget, made a trade just a couple of days ago. Olivier Vernon going to the Browns for Kevin Zeitler. Clearly Odell Beckham, and we had heard the rumors, was part of those discussions, but all indications that I had gotten were that the Giants, in talking to both the Browns and other teams, and there were other teams involved, they wanted a deal that was going to blow them away. In the end, to be able to get a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers, a Jersey native who is now coming home, by the way, apparently that was enough of a deal to blow Dave Gettleman away and send Odell Beckham, one of, if not the best receiver in a lot of people's minds, when he is on to Cleveland.
No doubt, Mike. And one of John Dorsey's missions has been to build this Cleveland team, fill the town as quickly as humanly possible. And of all the things he has done, including acquire a franchise quarterback, including get a new coach in Freddie Kitchens, it has all been without a number one receiver. So when he set on this offseason trying to figure out where they wanted to go, getting a true game-breaking number one receiver was paramount for him. That it was his number one goal. There's not a lot of them. Odell Beckham Jr. was one. He knew it would cost a lot. Remember, this is a Browns team that had a ton of draft capital, 2 first-round picks, just in last year's draft, so if any team could afford to do it, it was him. And then you mentioned Dave Gettleman's words. It's been interesting listening to his words, parsing his words, saying he did not sign Odell Beckham Jr. to a contract extension just to trade it. Okay, well, that was not a no. Gettleman had all the leverage because he had the player. He maintained his stance that he didn't want to trade Odell. He needed to be blown away by a deal, and the Browns stepped in and blew them away with a deal. Now Odell Beckham Jr. Headed to the Cleveland Browns, assuming they handle some issues. And I am told that Odell would like an alteration to his contract similar to what Antonio Brown got. That is a wrinkle here, and the Browns may have some work to do when it comes to finalizing this.
Oh, okay, now that is headline news right there, Ian, because I'm looking through the details of his contract, at least reported here. 5 years left on the deal, if I'm counting correctly, and due to make $17 million this year. He's no longer the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL because of the Antonio Brown deal. But OBJ might go an Antonio Brown route, meaning like Antonio Brown vetoed what we thought would be a trade to the Buffalo Bills because he wasn't going to re-sign a contract there. We could be heading down that path.
Not saying he's going to veto it. Definitely not saying that he's going to veto it. But I am saying he saw the Antonio Brown situation happen. He saw the power that a star player had in these situations. AB went from a really good contract to the highest paid receiver in the NFL when you consider his old extension and his new money. What the Raiders did was not add new years. They simply ripped up the deal and added money. It seems that is what Odell would like to do to complete this trade. And look, he's got a lot of power here. We will see which way the Browns go.
And Antonio Brown took advantage of the situation. He was going to a new team. The team wanted him to be happy. Beckham can look at it now and say, I've got about $75 million or so left on my deal over 5 years. That's an average of only 15. I've got to get back up there to the highest paid wide receiver because a lot of money already went last year. So we'll see if Beckham can use this to advantage.
He's heading to LeBron James' old home and hometown, so shoot your shot, I guess you could say. Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo, excellent work. Coming back to you often on the breaking news, the trade that has shocked the NFL world. Lindsay?
So I know everybody wants to hear what Odell Beckham Jr. has to say about all of this, and our Kim Jones has, in fact, spoken with him within the last 10 minutes, I believe. Kim, what do you have to say?
Well, Lindsay, he's overseas, so I'm not sure exactly what time it is, wherever the heck he is. But he said he thought it was bittersweet, but it is what it is. It's life, and that is the extent of my quoting of Beckham. I will tell you, it rang true. The words he said, Lindsay, rang true. I do think he's still processing it. I could tell in his voice, in his tone of voice. I think this is surprising to him, although not completely surprising to his camp. And I do think ultimately in Cleveland, with Jarvis Landry, with Adam Henry, the wide receivers coach, he will find a very familiar and very welcoming environment. But I think right now, listen, one of New York's biggest stars is on his way out of town, and that star himself is very much still adjusting to this news.
It is what it is. It's life. That is not the reaction I was expecting to get from Odell Beckham Jr. Did he sound excited at all? I think we all thought that he might be being reunited with Jarvis Landry. It seems like he's hinted for a while that that's something that he would like.
Yeah, I think it's easy to sometimes misread Odell. In this case, I do think, I don't want to say he was in shock. That would be too dramatic. But I do think he very much is still processing this. And he and I will talk again soon. We decided on that as we hung up. So I think as the minutes and hours go by, he might feel a little bit differently, or he might sound a little bit differently, I should say. But I very much think this is Beckham realizing a very, very significant chapter in his life has ended, Lindsay, just months after signing an enormous contract that, honestly, you could argue should have helped to keep him as a Giant for life. And now he's gone from the Giants, and he's on to a much different football life.
That's true. Everything that he's familiar with as an NFL professional has come in New York with the Giants, and so obviously this is a big change for him. Thank you very much, Kimberly Jones. We have somebody here at the table who is very familiar with the team that he is going to now, Joe Thomas, who's headed for the Hall of Fame after a really impressive career there in Cleveland. How would you describe your reaction to this news today?
Well, shocked, I guess, would be my first statement. Sean and I were talking this morning, and I said, hey, there's this rumor out there about OBJ to Cleveland. What do you think? Is that going to happen? And I don't think either one of us could believe that 1 year after OBJ signs that massive deal to stay in New York, he gets dealt. And for a 1 and a 3, basically, in a starting player, which, in my opinion, for a player of his caliber, coming to a roster as loaded as the Browns have, that's an easy price for John Dorsey to pay.
A 1 and a 3 and a starter in Jabril Peppers at safety. So you could effectively, if you're the New York Giants, this is an argument that's taking place on Twitter, people debating the merits of, I guess, what the Giants are getting in return. You could walk away with 3 starters. I know OBJ is a special wide receiver talent, but assuming that there are circumstances in play there and based on what they said there about him wanting more money, you could walk with three players to put on the field as opposed to the 1.
Best case scenario. But when you look at drafts historically, first-round picks are about 50% success rate, and a third-round pick is going to be even less than that. So I think your expected value, if you're getting into geeky stats, is probably 2 starters. When you look at it, if you get a good starter in the first round, and the third-round guy might be depth, and then Jabril Peppers, who's a starting safety, but we've seen that in Cleveland, he hasn't really exactly lived up to expectations. They kind of thought he was going to be a star, but he hasn't really exactly found his role yet. So I think from Cleveland's standpoint, it's easy to make this deal. And the Giants, they're going to try to talk themselves into how it's a good deal for them and how they got rid of somebody who wasn't happy. But in the end, I still think the Browns got the best of this deal.
All right, much more on the Browns side of reaction. We talked to Myles Garrett. We'll try and replay some of that interview for you. His reaction as he heard the news as well. Talking about the Cleveland Browns locker room and the fan base being energized as well.
How about the dance moves? How about the dance moves that we're going to see now?
The end zone celebration.
I thought you were talking about me.
Can you imagine?
With Baker,
in front of the dog pound.
I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
You have a unique perspective of having been a former Brown and a former Giant. The fan base knows you as a former Giant. This could smell of a strip down of the Giants as we know them. Eli, even if he plays another couple years, doesn't have more than a couple years left, most people would estimate. Saquon Barkley is an amazing young talent, but the rest of the roster looks like it's taken apart. Is that your read on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was stunned like this, just like everybody else. We've heard rumors and whispers of this for a couple of years now, and it just kind of felt like the same scene. But I think when you look at the Giants, what Dave Gettleman is doing is he's making bold moves for the sake of the entire roster. And he's realizing that I've got so many holes to plug. I've got to take what I have now and try to build, basically do what the Browns did with all those draft picks years ago, which enabled them to be in this position now with all these extra first-round picks and draft picks. And David Gettleman's realized, man, I've got to find a way to accumulate some assets to get more quality players on both sides of football, mostly on defense. So it's a bold move because nobody thinks that their offense is better without Odell Beckham on the field, but it just became one of those things where, you know what, we've got to make a move right now, and we got an offer that we cannot turn down because of the value we're going to get across the board.
Well, we may be experiencing the moment of the 2019 offseason right now, and much more to come here on NFL Total Access. The Giants' reaction, the Browns' reaction, the NFL reaction. One of, if not the best wide receivers in the NFL traded in his prime. We will talk to a guy who was formerly one of, if not the greatest wide receiver in the game, Steve Smith. His reaction on the trade next.
NFL Total Access is brought to you by Caesars Palace, official sponsor of the NFL.
I am the DQ Chicken Strip Basket, and I have gone flavor crazy. Try spicy sweet glazed made with Frank's Red Hot or honey barbecue glazed. Either way, ranch me for maximum flavor craziness, because I'm not fast food. I am fan food.
The final whistle was just the start of an epic weekend away. Book your flights, hotel, and car on Expedia, and travel like a champion. Expedia.
Reese's eggs are back, and we hit them somewhere you'll never find. Psych! We put them everywhere. Grocery stores and supermarkets, gas stations, and chiropractors' offices, bowling alleys and grocery stores, which we already mentioned. Not sorry, Reese's.
Look at that preacher. Hey, let me help you. Thanks, Tony. Doing his stuff. You better dig in. So the greatest mountain in the world.
It's something I've dreamed of my whole life.
I love this game. It's always been a part of my family.
Ready to show the world what I can do. On the field, I'm the best defensive player in the country.
Being able to do something that you love, something that you can't pass up.
Welcome to the 100th season of the National Football League. Tonight is not about the league. Tonight is about football. It's about the players. It's about the fans.
Damn, B. Boy, this is a big party.
He's open.
Russ? Huh?
NFL Total Access special coverage of the Odell Beckham Jr. trade rolls on. OBJ, one of the brightest stars in pro football, traded in his prime to the Cleveland Browns. In exchange, the Browns send the Giants a first-round pick this year, number 17 overall, a third-round pick this year, and safety Jabril Peppers, starting safety for the Cleveland Browns, and a former first-round pick himself. Let's go to a star wide receiver who is now on the NFL media payroll, Steve Smith. What do you have to say about this trade that is certainly shocking the sports world, Steve?
Well, I mean, it's very shocking for the sports world. I think it's very intriguing with the Giants, just because you had the GM who said he didn't sign into a mega deal to trade him. So obviously he and the powers that be sat down and decided that what they stated to us, the media, and to the fan base, was incorrect.
Steve, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield, all in or hitting their prime together. What do you expect the Cleveland offense to look like next year?
Overnight success. I mean, they have become very scary. They're a team that you fear. There's, a lot of what has been going on with the Browns. You go, oh, I'm not sure, but you definitely know for a fact that they're going to be a really good team now.
Steve Smith Sr., his reaction on the day when a Pro Bowl wide receiver is traded from the Giants to the Browns. Lindsay?
Do you think that John Dorsey's reaction looks like this? This is what the Cleveland Browns have tweeted out. This is all we've heard from the Cleveland Browns since this blockbuster move went down. John Dorsey chomping the gum and loving life, just making moves right and left and building a powerhouse. For more on them, Peter Schrager joins us now on the phone. I think you should be asleep because you've got Good Morning Football coming up in like a couple of hours. But who could sleep at a time like this, right? What are you hearing from around the league and your sources about how this all went down?
Yeah, Lindsay, Christmas came early for us. This is amazing, and this is great. Why we do it. And I'll tell you, from the Browns side of it, spoken to a few folks in their organization, and they're fired up because their theme the entire offseason this year was, let's wake a sleeping giant. And that is exactly what they're doing. And the Browns fan base is absolutely energized in the building they are, too. The truth of it is, they were fired up about Sheldon Richardson earlier today, and they were fired up about Rashad Perryman earlier today. There were two other deals they made, and then this Odell Beckham thing comes through. And the truth is, and Ian and Mike hit it right up the top, the thought is this: Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham were best friends in college. Their wide receivers coach, Adam Henry, is now the wide receivers coach of the Cleveland Browns. They look at Baker Mayfield as a contemporary. Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield have gotten to know each other very well. And then you look through the different position coaches. They're all excited and ready to go, and Freddie Kitchens is the man to guide them. But the whole mantra there was, let's wake a sleeping giant. And if you look at the exodus of talent out of Pittsburgh, and you look at some of the decisions that Baltimore is making the last couple of days, this might be the Cleveland Browns' time, and it's a little quicker than I think everyone expected.
What do you think of what the Giants are getting in return? Do you think that it is an adequate haul for the Giants to walk away from under the circumstances, or do you think that Giants fans should be upset about that?
Giants fans are an interesting breed, and I'm here in New York. I know Sean is at the table there. The immediate feedback from Giants fans are like, all right, what are we doing with Eli Manning? Let's just scrap the whole thing and start all over. That's what we're doing. I would say slow down with that. I know the Giants spoke to multiple teams about potentially trading Beckham, or at least were given calls about Beckham. Nothing advanced as much as they did with Cleveland. But they do get a second first-round pick here, so they can have two first-round picks, a 16th and 17th. Honestly, between us, I don't think that's enough to go get Kyler Murray, but it might be enough to jump up and maybe get the second quarterback in the draft. And then they also get Jabril Peppers, who had some moments. He had a Saturday night performance against the Broncos on our network, where he was the best player on the field. There's been flashes from him, and then a third-round pick. Do I think they got a decent deal? Yeah, look, at this point, Odell Beckham, the stuff is written, I guess. I mean, this is it. They've been looking for 2 years now. It's been smoke. And I know Jay Glazer mentioned it on a mailbag a couple of weeks ago, and everyone freaked out and tried to say it was fake news and all this stuff. Guess what? It wasn't fake news. Where there's smoke, there's fire a lot of times. And in this case, Odell Beckham, no matter what they get him until at the combine, he was on the block for the right price, and I guess this is the right price.
Peter Schrager, back at it again in just a few hours on Good Morning Football.
Have a great show, Peter.
Go take a quick nap, and we'll check back in with you again momentarily. In the meantime, I'd like to hear from you in more on what we were just talking about there. What would you like to see the Giants do now to sort of rebuild and fill some of the holes that you mentioned are plentiful?
Yeah, I look at this and I think, well, why would you even do this? Why would you make that trade if you did get them? And the only thing that I could wrap my head around is that they are just in such a mess from a roster standpoint. But they've missed on so many draft picks in the past. They were up against the cap last year, which is why they traded JPP. They couldn't sign Landon Collins to a long-term deal because of the cap issue. And so it's basically just, we're looking at this like, okay, we've got to find a way to start gathering some assets and start building this team, the defense has so many holes. I mean, Jabril Peppers right now is the biggest factor in this trade because he's going to plug in and play where Landon Collins left from. You know, they just traded for Kevin Zeitler as well, but this team needed weapons on defense. It's not just about the quarterback, and it's not just about one side of the ball. So they've got him in at the end of the season. What did he say? He came out and he said, man, we've got to find a way to play better defense. We've got to get some players. So I look at a lot of these picks right now, and I think they're going to use a lot of them for the defensive side of football to try to build this team because it is about both sides of the ball.
How about locker room chemistry? And I don't mean to take us down a path here that we shouldn't because you probably know OBJ the best out of anyone sitting here, but this guy, he is a little bit of an enigma. He is one of the megawatt stars in the NFL, talent-wise. And then there have been some things said and even some things done and some social media things that made people question, maybe even ownership of the Giants, question how all in he is on making the Giants a Super Bowl champion. Do you think that had anything to do with this?
I think it did have a part, absolutely. And I think the fact that he is a little bit different, you know, for some people that's not bad. For some people that's not good. But I think that there were definitely some times where he was an issue. And I think that was definitely a factor in this trade. Obviously, you don't trade a talent like that unless there is something else going on that they felt like they couldn't recover from or that they couldn't get past or that in the future was going to continue to be an issue. Because let's make no mistake about it. When Odell Beckham is healthy and when he's hungry, he is one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. And now he's in Cleveland, but a lot of it is because of stuff that happened off the field, not necessarily on it.
And he's in Cleveland with maybe the secret weapon to making all of these things that we've been talking about click for OBJ. He's got his best friend there. If you need someone to vent to, he's your guy. How do you see this going based on all the stuff that we're talking about and the off-the-field stuff and maybe the chemistry issues that possibly existed in New York? Do they transfer to Cleveland, or are those not an issue for him there?
Well, I'm not going to say there's totally no concern, but they've got the secret weapon, like you mentioned, and that's Jarvis Landry. Best friends. He's a guy that he respects. He'll listen to. If OBJ needs somebody to reel him in because he's going off the handle, that's the guy to do it right there because Jarvis Landry is a great teammate. He understands it. He gets it. We saw it firsthand on Hard Knocks in last training camp. He gets what being a team player is all about. And like you mentioned, if OBJ wants to vent to him, he can say, yeah, I get it, I'm with you, but we always got to put the team first, and he can redirect him down the right path. And I don't think there's anybody else in the NFL that could do that for OBJ, and certainly there was nobody in that Giants locker room.
This feels like Talladega Nights. I think they just created shake and bake. And we've got Ricky Bobby here, and the only question is going to be, you know, if you're not first, you're last.
Yes.
Leave it to Sean O'Hara to find a Will Ferrell reference. There's one for everything.
And OBJ knows what to do with his hand.
He clearly does.
One hand, that is. Yeah, tried to go for it, Joe. Tried to go for it. Hey,
I like it.
let's keep it rolling. The trade that has surprised and got the whole sports world talking. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a Cleveland Brown. More on what it means for the Giants, for the Browns, and for pro football and the balance therein. Next.
With USAA, different generations get the same quality customer service that we have been getting.
Being a USAA member, because of my service in the military, to pass that on to my kids, something that makes me happy.
Being able to pass down USAA to my girls means a lot to both of us.
He's passing part of his heritage of being in the military.
We're the Edsons.
My name is Roger Zapata.
We're the Tench family, and we are USAA members for life.
To begin your legacy, get an insurance quote today.
Team, bring it in. Bring it in. When I think of great champions, I think of Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They cut down the nets year after year. Highest ranked in the nation for servicing 5 consecutive years, and 9 years as the #1 in primary mortgage origination. You could say all they do is win, 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 no matter what.
Push button, get mortgage. Rocket Mortgage, proud supporter of college athletics.
Lobster Fest is on at Red Lobster with the most lobster dishes of the year, like Lobster Lover's Dream and new Ultimate Lobster Fest Surf and Turf. So come Lobster Fest today. And now, for a limited time, get 10% off Red Lobster to go.
interruption, but this is big. Now at T-Mobile, get the Samsung Galaxy S10e included with unlimited data for just $40 a month.
We're champs!
The New England Patriots are world champions.
Angling right to the pylon! Touchdown!
Relive all the thrilling moments in the Super Bowl 53 champions commemorative film.
Brady lobs a throw for Gronkowski, left side. Makes the catch!
Super Bowl 53 champions. Own it now on Blu-ray Combo Pack or DVD.
Howdy, folks. Try my $20 fill-up. You have 10 seconds to comply. You now have 5 seconds to comply. 4, 3, 2. Try any $20 fill-up at KFC.
Why would you go out of your way and wander around a warehouse for paint when you can just swing by your local Ace? Ace has top-rated paint like One Coat Coverage Valspar, can match any color, and mixes it with something that's hard to find. Award-winning service, because the way we see it, if anyone is going to go out of their way,
it should be us.
It's the Ace Extra Mile promise. If it ever takes more than one trip to complete your paint project, we'll bring you what you need, and delivery is free.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
These scouts will throw away your 3-4 years worth of film if you don't take this process serious enough.
I expect to go in the show. I'm the complete package. It just come natural.
My goal is come in and help a team win a championship.
I just can't wait to go on that stage, show my talents. I'm just ready to be great right now.
Big night for the Cleveland Browns franchise fans across the board, because a team that was already stacked on offense, on defense, has just acquired Odell Beckham Jr. in a trade from the Giants in exchange for a first-round pick this year, a third-round pick this year, and safety Jabril Peppers. Mike Garafolo broke the news, joined by Ian Rappaport right now. I'm sure your phones are going crazy. Mike Garafolo, can you tell us how quickly this all came together? Because I feel like Odell Beckham Jr. has been tweeting out hints for the last few weeks. Were those related to this, do we think? Or do we think that he just likes to play with us on social media and that this is its own thing entirely?
No, I don't believe that he was caught by surprise. And frankly, you know, we were caught by surprise tonight, only...
Put your mic on, Mike.
My mic fell off.
It's been a long day.
Mike type of a night.
Is this thing on? All right, let's try this again. Let's try this again.
Drop the mic. You've done enough.
Drop the mic, yes. I tell you what, this mic's going to get dropped if he doesn't shape up. I'm going to trade you to Cleveland. With Odell.
That would be a good thing.
It caught us by surprise this evening, only because we've asked about it multiple times over the past couple of weeks, because we've heard that it's been kicked around. Me, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, a bunch of people here at NFL Network had checked on this multiple times. As a matter of fact, tonight I began by apologizing to the same people. Said, I'm sorry that I keep checking on this, because I didn't think that it was real again, because there's been so many fits and starts. So Beckham has been as in the loop on this one as we have. And don't forget that these two teams just completed a trade. Kevin Zeitler, the guard, going to the Giants. Olivier Vernon, the defensive end, going to the Browns. And if Beckham wasn't part of that trade, you figured, okay, that's it. It's dead. It's not going to happen. But John Dorsey, extremely persistent right here, despite what he said at the scouting combine last month, when he said he didn't think this team was ready to go for it. If this isn't going for it, I don't know what is.
No, you're right, Mike. And people are talking about the actual value of the deal that the Giants got. My understanding is they shopped this around. It was quick, but they did talk to at least one other team, likely more, about potentially trading Odell and seeing what they could get back. The response from other teams was simply too much. And, you know, really, that makes me think that the Giants got enough, obviously, for them to trade Odell. And, look, it's not rebuilding, but this clearly retooling significantly for the Giants. And think about the landscape of what the Giants are trying to do now. They trade away number one receiver, obviously someone a lot of teams would have, but they now have multiple first-round picks.
Eli Manning is in his late 30s. The Giants may be in a position where they have to move up for a quarterback. They now have more than enough picks to do it. For the future of where this franchise is going, obviously this is an important day for the Giants as well.
Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo on a major news night. Go ahead and keep your mics on in case we need to check back in. Mike, thank you very much.
I will try my best.
All right, reaction coming in from across the pro football world and right here at NFL Media as well. Pleased to welcome to NFL Total Access NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders. Deion, when you heard the news, what did you think and what's your reaction right now?
First and foremost, I was in disbelief, and I was happy and elated and thankful and appreciative that the Cleveland Browns are finally stepping up to the plate, trying to be a formidable organization. Secondly, I had to sit back and say, you know what? How does Jarvis Landry feel about this? I know this is his boy. I know this is his homie. This is his dog. This is his ace. But there's only one football that you play the NFL with. Now, how are those two guys going to be happy? Now, thirdly, I had to ask, you know, does this have anything to do with A.B. leaving Pittsburgh? Now the Browns feel as though, you know what, we got this division. Let us go and make a move to make sure we secure this division 100%. And I absolutely like it. I like it 100%.
How about from the New York Giants perspective? Because when you started saying, I was thinking about Antonio Brown leaving, well, the way he left, forcing his way into a new deal, into a new team, is there any chance that the Giants felt they could be going down that road eventually with OBJ? What's the impact for the Giants in this one?
I like that thought process, but I think that's a little different with Odell in the Giants. I don't think they were heading down the road with Odell in the same aspect. They know they weren't going to win and not going to win anytime soon. So if you're not going to win anytime soon, let us start unloading these things that can guarantee you more picks, more personnel, so you can load up in the near future. First of all, I love Eli. I believe Eli. I think everybody knows I do. But you got to really start to pinpoint the quarterback position. What direction are you going with that? And secure the offensive line, which they've been trying to do. But still, there's unanswered questions at the quarterback position. I believe in Eli. But if you're giving away his best receiver, do you believe that you have an opportunity to win this game? I don't think so. Especially this year with the prominence of Philadelphia, with the prominence of the Dallas Cowboys in the same division.
Deion Sanders, we could do an hour show with you on this one, Deion, but we'll leave it to the other shows on which you appear here on NFL Network. It's going to be a heck of an off season talking about this one, primetime.
I love it, but I just cannot wait to see how three personalities, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, and Odell,